For the last part of this brief series on digital transformation, I'd like to propose a simple story-based checklist for any kind of transformation. This tackles the big picture, the story on which any transformation is built. We really must not miss out this step, because a lot of people do, and it's often the cause of failure. So we really need to do this step. So for the checklist itself, the first step is about why. We map out the story space. What is the story itself? What are the values that make it all up? What are the value flows in the broadest possible sense? What is it that people want to exchange to make this story work? That'll tell us the key players in the overall story, only some of whom we'll be connecting with in our own business story, and also the drivers that make it all work, to which we need to align our own business. The next checklist item is a kind of who. Who are the players in our part of the story? We look at this from the inside in, looking at our own internal workings, both human and technology based. We're looking at the transaction space, about looking at who are our suppliers, our partners, our customers in this new way of working. How will it make it easier all round for everyone involved in this space? We're looking at the interaction space, the direct interactions, particularly around things like regulations, which, if we're doing a transformation, we will almost certainly be touching a slightly different set of regulations. What are the recruitment issues? What are the training issues? These are all coming out of that market space. Who are our competitors? Who are our collaborators? Who are our business partners on a business-by-business relationship? And also looking at the broader story space, the expectations that others who we don't necessarily interact with but can influence us, who are they? Also, what are the responsibilities for each of these players? What are the responsibilities? How do we relate with them in terms of responsibilities? The third one is about how. How are we going to make this work? What are the services in the story? A service approach is generally best for this kind of transformation. We describe interactions as services and service cycles. What is needed to bring people in, to build a relationship, to define a contract, to do the work, and then close up all of those relationships? The next one is the what, the detail for the story. We're talking about the service content, the assets, the events, the resources, the capabilities, the locations, all those kind of things that we need in order to make this work. This is where we start going into the detail and setting up the next cycle in the development stage for this digital transformation. And finally, an item about outcomes. How are we going to review and learn? How are we going to make it better? What metrics do we need? What records do we need? Working backwards, how are we going to get those metrics and records? And also always an emphasis on how to do better, which will connect us back to the values from those first two steps. So our aim is to continually learn from each action and continually improve in relation to the story. What do we need to make that happen? So that's a very simple checklist that you can use, that's like a story, that talks about the structure of a story, that tells you going from the values down to the real practical, and the continuing on to make it work all in practice.